All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to another live stream. We're here with a new Poker Live podcast. My guest today is my buddy Dan Gallagher. He works for Bluff Europe. I don't know, Bluff Europe's a magazine and it's a website, right, Dan?
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
it's a magazine, but it's got its own website.
Okay,
But
so you're the publishing director for Bluff Europe, correct?
yeah.
Okay. What does that mean? What does a publishing director do for Bluff Europe?
I guess like the boring side of it is I'm responsible for the commercial, so all of the advertising and the paid content. But my role as well is kind of
All right.
it's managed a lot. So I do kind of hire all the writers and then get people like you to come and do interviews and features and stuff. So I just man the ship really.
So
Make sure.
you hire writers, you kind of manage the content being produced, and you're very behind the scenes with things.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I kind of have final sign off and everything, so everything kind of goes through me.
That's pretty sweet. Well, that's one of the reasons why I want to have you on. Obviously, is that I think most of the people I have on are more directly involved in the streets. Like I guess they're more poker players, but I do have some people on that are still involved in the poker world, but aren't necessarily like people that are poker players themselves. So I thought it'd be cool to have you on, get a bit of different perspective on things, get your ideas on the way you think about things, because I'm sure they're different than the way most people think about things. So thank you for joining me.
No worries.
So I'm live streaming this, guys, and I haven't live streamed in about a couple weeks now. I took a few weeks breaks from the podcasting world because I don't know why. I have no actual definite reason for that. But if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them on YouTube. And I uploaded a new video last night. I just snuck it on there. It's a new series, Monday Night High Stakes Poker. I happen to put it on a Thursday night. That happens, but oh well. Dan, so first question is you live in Britain, right? You live in I don't want to. I know people over there get upset when they mix the countries up. Where do you live at exactly?
England. No, yeah, London. So, yeah.
So London and Britain and England are basically the same place, right?
London is the capital of England. England is, I guess, the capital of Britain. But no, yeah. So London and England are the country, and Britain is the collection of countries. So Britain is Scotland, England, and Wales, and Northern Ireland.
Yeah, okay, that was now I'm more confused more than ever. Do they have a lot? Are there a lot of people over there that dress like Americans like you do?
No, just me and Sam Grafton. We're the only people who dress like Americans. No, yeah, no, not many. I mean, it's London. It's pretty cosmopolitan, so it's everything. It's pretty similar to New York, I guess.
Oh, I might enjoy London. Well, you always tell me I would enjoy London, don't you?
Yeah, you do well. You should definitely come over.
I feel like you mention that to me pretty often. You're like, I think you would enjoy London over here. So I guess so. How long have you been working in the poker industry? How did you end up getting this position at working for Bluff Europe?
Well, I was playing poker, and while I was at university, and then when I left uni, I played for about 2 or 3 years. I was just your average bad reg MTT player. And then I got a real job, just kind of doing like conferences for like really boring stuff, like regulated industries, so like water and electricity. And I eventually got headhunted by another kind of like a B2B business magazine that focuses on gambling. And so I took the job there, and it just happens that they were the guy who owns Bluff also is the editor-in-chief for that magazine, so I kind of just moved over as soon as they were like, yeah, this kid just only knows about his poker. So, and yeah, I luckily kind of got friendly with the guy who used to have my job. So when he left, he was just like, yeah, you should come take the gig. That's pretty much how I ended up here. So yeah, completely just luckboxed it, really.
Well, it sounds like obviously you enjoy poker. You said you used to play poker, so this seems like kind of like a job that, if you can't actually be a poker player, this sounds like a cool thing that's sort of like on the same wavelength to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty much, I think that a lot of the poker media are kind of failed players to some degree. But yeah, it was one of those, once I stopped playing poker, I didn't really have, I remember when I first kind of said, right, I'm going to get a real job, I kind of really took like 5 or 6 months off poker. Like I unfollowed everyone on Twitter. I stopped going on 2+2, stopped watching like everything on TV, and yeah, and I kind of just fell back into it, to be honest. I didn't really think there was. I still, to this extent, I don't think there's many, jobs in the poker industry. It's still a really small industry. So to kind of get any kind of role in there, you have to really kind of be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I think about people that I know in the poker media side of things, I have a few friends, but really, as you said, it doesn't seem like there's too many opportunities for work on that side of things.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's also particularly because of regulation and where you can, every time you're hearing about kind of these sites who are being ring-fenced, so you've got like PokerStars.fr and stuff, that basically takes jobs away, really. And so there's only so many sites that actually kind of are based in London or the UK, and there's a lot that are kind of jotted around different parts of the world. So obviously it's not great to be in America either. So there's even less jobs out there for online poker. But yeah, there isn't much opportunity at all. It's really about kind of small roles doing kind of big tasks. So
when we say that there's not many jobs available, I guess from your standpoint now, is there, so you decide, or you have a hand in deciding what kind of content is chosen for the magazines and for the website side of things, right?
Yeah. So the way our website works is typically we have like an online editor who he commissions kind of writers to do daily news. And then the way our magazine's quite unique, I don't really know what is comparable in the US, but we use what we call the Evening Standard model. So basically what Evening Standard do is they go to all the tube stations and they give out the newspaper for free. So there's literally millions of people that are getting on the tube in London every day, and so they've got a free magazine. We do the same thing. So Bluff Europe is actually a free magazine, and we have agreements with all of the poker rooms in London. In the UK. So if you go to play poker, as you go into the desk, there'll be just heaps and like piles of copies of Bluff. So that's how we're kind of able to make sure that we've got a high circulation. And because it's free, then the content's free. What we do is then we trickle all of the articles online so that people in other markets like the US have an opportunity to read it. So it's kind of a mixture from that.
So I guess where does the money standpoint? The money standpoint comes from advertisers that come in and then they advertise in the magazine.
Yeah, it's purely advertising. So for example, I mean, if you're running a poker tour and I come to you and say, look, you should be in my magazine, because essentially they're trying to promote maybe a 1K buy-in, and they're going into a casino where you've got like rich, wealthy businessmen who are sitting down with 5K every night. So you've got people. It's not like any other kind of form of advertising where you have to convince people to actually get interested in poker or start depositing. These people are already actually spending money playing poker, so you're just giving them an alternative. And especially when you've got people who are still somewhat skeptical of online poker, even these days, it's really cool to work with the online sites to try and get them to entice kind of live players to come over and play online.
So I guess, is there other sites that are pretty popular over where you're at? Because obviously, when I think about things, you're probably advertising you're trying to figure out content that is aimed at a totally different demographic, because you're, like you said, you're only in the UK. So you kind of probably focus on more UK sites or UK things. So are there UK specific poker sites that might be popular over there that we don't know about over here in the States?
No, I mean, we have like different iPoker skins where you might not recognize the kind of brand, but there are no real kind of networks. It's quite similar to what you were playing on pre-Black Friday. So kind of your stars until Party Poker. Obviously, you guys weren't never playing Party Poker for a while, and then just your untracked Euro sites. But we find there are a lot of sites who have they're quite established bookmakers, so they do a lot of sports betting, and then they'll also have a poker site affiliated with them as well. I think that's probably the future, really, is those sites who, because particularly in the UK, like advertising for gambling is huge. if you watch late night TV, every advert is pretty much, or every other advert is some form of casino advertising or online casino advertising. But poker is probably 5% of all casino revenue, if that. So there's a lot more money going towards kind of roulette and blackjack and bingo and stuff, and slots primarily, than there are poker.
That's kind of sad in a way, because obviously we all play poker. We think about things from money coming into poker, and obviously with PokerStars changes, and so they're allowing sports betting, and they're allowing casino, like roulette and that type of games, I believe. So have you heard anything from that standpoint? And I guess on your side of things, is there any new like promotions planned in the country, or I guess to design it?
I don't know. There's still, obviously we deal with PokerStars and Tilt quite closely, and I also run an actual online slots UMAG as well. So we're quite interested in that basis of what Stars are doing in terms of what they're going to be doing in the new year. But so far we haven't really seen much. I think it seems like it's all pretty much they're putting the word out there, but it hasn't got to the stage of mainstream advertising. What they've done with Full Tilt recently is completely different to what they've done previously, in sense that they've dropped all their red pros and they're now kind of trying to go down the recreational route. So you're seeing them on adverts for trains and stuff, which you never did before. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what they're doing in terms of how much they're going to put into promotion to get new players, because obviously the way other sites get people to play poker is by, they're already there sports betting, or they're kind of playing online slots, and then they can share a wallet and cross over. It's going to be a lot different to try and that will obviously happen in terms of people that are playing poker will then, there's obviously an easy conversion, but the challenge for them will be to get new people who then want to play on the casino at PokerStars who have never played on the poker site. So, because they are obviously kind of the top when it comes to poker, and they're so far above everyone else, it's untrue. But when it comes to casinos, then they're essentially kind of new to the market, and people won't really know what they are when they're introducing their product, really.
Yeah, I'm a little more optimistic, I think, than most people are in the poker forums about the whole entire casino and sports betting idea, because, as you said, PokerStars is pretty well recognized as one of the best poker sites. But I think when the word starts to get out there more that they are doing that side of things, I don't think it's gonna. I mean, I think it could be a kind of a good thing in a way for some specific games online. Maybe some games are going to be hit more than others in terms of stakes or potential limits. But I mean, I think from a high stakes standpoint, I actually think it's probably might be a really good thing. I mean, not necessarily a really good thing, but I think it might be a better thing than most people are thinking it would be.
Yeah, definitely for kind of high stakes. I can see it being a good thing. It's like anytime you change anything in poker, you're changing status quo, and people were concerned about their win rates and the kind of their expectation, and anytime that you're changing it, you're throwing a spanner into the works, and there are going to be winners and losers, and it's exactly the same. After pre-Black Friday, for about 4 months, all of our graphs just rocketed because the Americans were gone, and while during the day on 2+2 we were saying, oh, this is terrible, during the evenings we were cleaning up because Stars hadn't adjusted the guarantees properly, so there was loads of overlay. The field was just so weak, and as players moved out of America and people that we love seeing were back online, it was good in that sense, but it was hurting the games again. And then suddenly you've got everyone in Cabo who's crushing the tournaments, and it's back to how it was without the American fish. So everything kind of eventually comes full circle. I think there are going to be winners and losers from Stars doing this. I think it would probably work out neutral in the long run. The worst thing for Stars is pretty bad PR from a poker level, from a kind of a poker fan base. They've been pretty bulletproof in everything that they've done, and they've just had since the Maya takeover, they've had a bad few months, but it's nothing really to do with them. It's a long-term strategy that they've always had, and I don't know whether they plan to get all the bad news out of the way in a couple of months and then just move forward, or whether it's just kind of been a coincidence that it's all come together. but it's quite. I know like people are quite fickle, but the amount of backlash that has gone towards stars, even for someone like me who is kind of like always looking to be critical, I think some of it's gone a bit too far.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty. The backlash, obviously, in the 2+2 world, has been pretty bad for stars. I think. Are you kind of on? Do you get a? Are you kind of get a sense from the non 2+2 poker crowd? Are you kind of like active in any other poker circles where you might hear some different feedback than just outside of 2+2?
Yeah, not really, but I mean, to a certain extent, yes, but the way people treat 2+2 is quite strange, and this kind of happened when I joined Bluff, and I sat down with the old editor. So basically, when I joined, before I took over, I kind of came in to consult, and so I basically went through the magazine. I was like, this is shit, this is shit, this is shit. Like, why is this guy writing for us? This strategy is terrible, blah blah blah. And the first bit of really good advice he gave to me was like, maybe 5% of our readers are like 2+2 kids. Everyone else are just recreational players. What you think is dumb, they find really entertaining, and they find really interesting, and they've got different aspirations, and what they're looking for is completely different. So for me to adjust to another audience was probably my biggest challenge coming in. And I think, although people still have that view of like, oh, damn internet kids and stuff, and I think you will hear sites say, oh, 2+2 are pissed off at us, but they actually only represent a really small amount. They are like thought leaders, and they always have been, and they've done so much for the community, from the Neo stuff with UB, the whole way to kind of Black Friday and making sure everyone could get their money out and stuff. They constantly have changed the trend for everything. You know, PokerStars run essentially all of their ideas for kind of the EPT, for new software, for WCoop, for Scoop. Basically, they go to 2+2, and 2+2 tell them what they want. So, although they are a smaller thing, they are by far the strongest voice. And I think, you know, certainly in the media, it's what we look to gauge kind of public opinion, because you know, they're not the skeptics that other people. You know, you get people who play poker who have sleeves covered in tattoos, like tattoos of cards, and you know, and they put like, you know, Bad Beat as their middle name on Facebook. And when you talk to them about poker, they're just like the most random, don't have a clue. All they ever do is sit around the table with their mates and play. And when you say stuff, you know, they don't consider stuff like rake, you know, and kind of what's good for the game and what isn't. They just they live in their own little world, and there's a much bigger majority of those people. So they do have a voice, but essentially, I think you should always go towards kind of what the 2+2 crowd are, because within themselves, they mediate themselves and they come to a good answer. And I can't really think of an example where 2+2 have really been wrong about anything, you know, where they've actually pushed for something as a group, and where they've been wrong, you know. So I think people don't take them, you know, people do try and ignore them, but I think that's just a massive mistake. And it's something that we kind of try to not do.
I think it's interesting that you said that the viewers of your readers are the 2+2 crowd makes up only such a small percentile of the crowd. And previously, when I started doing podcasting, I had thought that like 2+2 crowd made up 99% of people in poker, and that was what poker was. And then when I started realizing that like the poker world outside of 2+2 is massive, like it's really, really big, and the challenge becomes kind of is getting those people out there like kind of interested in your stuff, or reading your magazine, like, or finding your stuff, is that it's just such a big world out there outside of the whole entire 2+2 ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think people think just because, you know, I think you're saying you've got like 1 million posts or whatever on 2+2, and especially if you're in, you know, I was in university, I was literally on 2+2 all day, and when I was like kind of playing full time as well, I would always have like 4 different 2+2 tabs open. So you're thinking to yourself like, or 2+2 people are the only people that are obsessed with poker. But I worked with, you know, when I went and got a normal job, my boss was obsessed with poker as well, and he didn't know anything about 2+2, but he would literally just like go home and watch Poker After Dark on YouTube all night. And there is a massive amount of people that are doing that. And, you know, I think people stumble across 2+2, and I remember, I think I found out about it. I saw a Jimmy Frickin interview, and he mentioned it, so I googled it and found it. And it might have been 2 years later before I found it again. You know, so wow. It's kind of like you forget how big a thing it is because it doesn't really have a massive presence externally. You know, it's kind of like, you know, going back to the kind of sup bro, you know what they used to say to each other on tables. Like, so back in like 2006, if you sat down at a table and you were two like kids dressed like us, I guess, you'd say sup bro to each other. And if the other guy said sup bro back, it meant you were both 2 + 2, and it was kind of like your little code or whatever.
That's old school right there, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like 06. So yeah, it was like a lot of people still don't know what 2 + 2 is, and even it's not huge in England. A lot of the English rigs might have accounts here and there. I think it's getting like bigger, but we have like other forums. Like there's a forum called Blonde Poker and a few others, and I think they're a lot more kind of geocentric, and people kind of tend to stick with them.
Well, I have to give a couple shout outs to the live stream chat there. A couple people are they're happy to see me back, because I haven't live streamed, I think, in maybe like 2.5 weeks or something like that, almost 3 weeks. So we got Cyan out there. What's up, buddy? We got Hans. I think Hans works. He says if you can't beat them, join them. He's talking about if you can't beat poker, you join the poker media side of things, I believe he's talking about.
It's like the saying about teachers, those who can't teach.
Oh, those who can't teach. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah.
Do you know Hans by any chance?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I'm not sure. Not exactly sure where he works for. Hans is awesome. He's a Dutch guy. We got to hang out a little bit in Vegas during the Dutch cleaner party. So Hans is pretty fun guy. Brian, what's up, buddy? Trent, yo, what's up? Standard Jazz, Andreas, Danielle. We only have the hardcore people here right now. Saul, my boy Tim Stone, Ben, what's up? It's been a while. I agree. Sam says, Joey, any thoughts on JMO's top 5 females? Can you please send me that list? I'm sure Dan would like to see this list and potentially have some input on this top 5 female list as well. Games, Marco, Heptagram. Michael says, Slevin, you sound like you're from London. You're from London, correct?
Yeah, it's my 2 + 2 thing says you sound like you're from London. It's from what's that terrible Russell Brand film? Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
That movie's
Have you not seen that?
That movie's great.
Okay. But you know that you sound like you're from London.
Oh, I must not remember that.
You forgot the only good bit about it.
I don't remember anything British related. The only thing I remember British related is this girl I met in Ibiza who had very nice teeth, and I saw her in the pool, and we kind of had a moment together, and that is literally the only thing I remember about London right now.
A British person with nice teeth. You're already breaking stereotypes.
Is that really not a thing? Are people they have not nice teeth there or what?
No. Our teeth are fine, like collectively. It's just an American thing for some reason. Everyone always bitches about our teeth.
Yeah. Well, when I watch, there's this. Can I say this? There's this pornographic pornographic channel I sometimes watch called Fake Agent UK, I believe, or something like that. And all the girls on there always have really bad teeth, but the guy's so funny. I don't watch it for the porn. I swear to God, I watch it for the pure comedic value of this fucking guy. And I've noticed that the girls there, they're very attractive, but their teeth are a little bit not on par as some other countries.
So he tells them that they're no good to be normal models, they're only good for porn, and then he fucks them, right? That's what happens.
Oh, you sound like you've ran some simulations on this site, huh?
Sounds like the script writes itself.
Well, okay, you might not be allowed to talk anymore about it, but okay. Heptagram says, "Are you a PLO player?" So Dan works for, well, some people are just tuning in. Dan works for the media side of things over at Bluff Europe. He's the publishing director for Bluff Europe. I always want to say Bluff Europe magazine. I keep wanting to say that to myself when I've been thinking about this.
That's it. That's what people call it. I think on my LinkedIn it says Bluff Europe magazine, so it's all right.
Oh, so I can just call you Bluff Europe magazine then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned to me you got this thing coming up, the British Poker Awards, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at some of these. People up for voting, and I got to be honest, I'm not quite sure how you came to some of these people, buddy.
Go for it.
Who was the behind those guys?
So we use like we've got like a whole panel of like media partners. So like PokerStrategy, Calvin Air, Ranking Hero. So everyone gets to pick people. Why? Who are you dissing? Who are you bitching?
Well, I know when when this first came out, I saw Best Blogger, and I realized none of these people blogged. And you have Dale Rue on here, who doesn't play poker as a potential Best Blogger choice. I just that was one I didn't quite understand.
I remember you giving him shit when he got sacked. No, he is. Well, he was a Team Online guy, so he was a player. He blogs.
He doesn't play poker. He plays 25-cent and 50-cent PLO poorly for the past 5 years. That's his poker experience. How can he be a possible choice for Best Blogger?
That's half your audience.
But they don't have. They're not PokerStars Team Online pros though, like he is.
Yeah, that's true.
And they didn't used to talk shit about me on their blog 5 years ago when we were both playing 25-cent, 50-cent, and now he's still playing that and has had no success. So I've got some. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's weird. You're talking about like people you used to play with. I used to. Do you know Pratish Padiga, like Shane Gamble?
Oh, Shane Gamble. I just see him. I've seen him on Twitter. I don't know much about him though.
Okay, so we used to play like the 11 cube like 3 years together. 3 years ago, we used to like play every night, like the same tournaments. And now he plays super high rollers, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, where do like either I went really bad or he went like, there should be a happy medium. I'd be pretty happy with us playing 10Ks together, but now he's playing 100Ks.
Well, sometimes it's all about who you can get to back you, who you can get to buy action, who you can get to stake you. That's a very important. I think that's a very important poker characteristic that some people might not be aware of, is that the ability to get people to buy action from you and to give you money is kind of a skill for certain players these days.
We actually talk about that. So it's kind of like your social equity, really, about like people who like you and they want to take more time to help you and buy your action and stuff. And yeah, I think you do see it. People who are really popular seem to be turning up in the same tournaments that they're probably not. They might be, of value, but
yeah.
But yeah, but it's strange. But like people like Shane Gamble's just like sick, and I kind of ran it by people because I was like, how's this guy like now playing 100Ks? And they're just like, no, he's like top 5. He's ridiculous. So, but other people I'm sure are doing well just on their kind of, riding on people's coattails and stuff, which is good for them.
100% they are, but it's also, as you said, is good for them. So the British Poker Awards, what exactly is this? Tell us more about it.
So we've been running it for, I want to say, like the best part of 10 years. And it's purely kind of, so we put the category together with our media partners, and then, you kids can go to town and vote on it. We actually, weirdly enough, probably get most votes from the US. And then it's a really good night. Anyone who's in the UK should definitely get a ticket and come along. So it's just that everyone really comes down. Like last year we had like Liv Boeree and Sam Trickett and Sam Grafton and everyone, and it just turned into like a massive piss up. And we like last year we had like a celebrity tournament, and Igor Kurganov turned up and then just started playing this free roll with people for like 2 hours while he was just buying everyone cocktails. It was pretty funny. So yeah, the awards, I guess it's just a good time to bring everyone in kind of British poker together, and kind of, I don't know, celebrate what we do, which is crush, obviously.
I think it sounds pretty fun. Isn't America trying to do something like that in February? There's like the American.
GPO. Yeah. I think they're doing like a joint American and European one. I think the European one's in like Malta or something, and they're within maybe 2 weeks to each other.
So are you guys like competing awards something? Are you guys like competing at all?
No, because we're just focused on Britain, so anyone else can run what they want. It's not really a competition.
Okay. Let's look at some of these things. Best live tournament player. My boy Max Silver, of course, #1. Poker personality of the year. Sam Grafton, obviously, right? Doesn't it have to be him?
Yeah, I think he's got a lock on it, surely.
Let's see. Best online player. Patrick Leonard, Toby Lewis. I got to go for one of those two. Even though some people might vote for Canoe, I'd have to go for Patrick or Toby.
I think Carney won last year.
Canoe won last year. He hasn't really put in as much volume this year as he has last year.
Yeah. No, yeah, we don't see so much of him these days.
Yeah, he probably. I mean, there's probably a number of reasons for that, but best international. What'd you say?
Carney wore a suit last year, and Sam Grafton wore a cardigan. So yeah, it's kind of a diverse mix of people. But yeah, Carney was definitely the best dressed person there.
Canoe seems more like a suit type of guy.
Yeah, he's a cool guy though.
Yeah, I like. I've liked what I've read. I saw the PokerStars did something about him, like a little player profile sort of thing.
We were on set for that. It was quite fun.
Oh, that's pretty fun. Best international player, obviously, my boy WCG Ryder, of course. Gonna get that. I'm voting for him. Best UK tournament. Never heard. I don't know any of these tournaments. I can't vote for any one of these. What'd you say?
You should come and play them. There's good PLO games during the tournament. You should come over.
You really, man. There's so many people I talk to that are from the UK that are like, you should really come over to the UK.
That's what we do. We work for our own economy. We get people over, man. Come spend your money with us.
Shit, man, y'all are next level over there, man, with your recruiting for getting people outside the country to come visit. Best social media user. I guess Liv Marie by default. She sometimes uploads pictures where she looks more attractive than normal pictures, I guess. Let's see. Best poker training site. Deuces Cracked. Are they still a training site?
I think they were when we started. I think they're still running.
Oh. We know who's going to win that one. So I guess those are pretty much the awards. There's a couple other awards. If you guys want to check it out, you can go to the BritishPokerAwards.com. If you live in Britain and you're interested in going, how can people get a ticket for it? How can they go?
They can go to, from next month, they can get tickets on the website for the venue, which is the Hippodrome Casino. Okay,
cool. So yeah, if you guys are interested in going there, go check out the website. Obviously, if you're a fan of poker, it sounds like a pretty fun event to go to, and it sounds like you'll have some fun. You'll be able to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, it'd be good. Definitely.
Sam said, well. What? Okay, when is it? When is the date?
26th February.
Isn't that the same time as the GPI Poker Awards, though?
No, 23rd of February. I don't know. When's the GPI Poker Awards?
I think it's February, or I don't fucking know. Let me check. I don't know. This site's not very well set up. I can't really tell. I'm not sure. Are you going to the PCA? Do you ever travel to North America for any sort of poker tournaments?
No, I travel around. So we go to hopefully we're going to Tallinn in Estonia for an upcoming tournament. And we used to go around with Winamax, so to Marrakesh and around, but it's all European stuff. It's purely there's no real reason for us to go. PCA would probably be the only one where we kind of get value, but because we're also partners with Bluff magazine, they kind of our American sister. They tend to do that, and they'll cover it, and we'll just use their content. So it doesn't really make much sense to fly me out and do it. So
I guess this might be a little bit too strategic for you. I don't know how much you like talking strategy. Obviously, you know me. I'm not the most. Even though I did talk a bit more strategy than normal on the new series I've started doing. But I guess so. From your standpoint, you know, how can you get better at your job? You know, how can you do your job better? What does doing your job better even mean? You know, like how do you gauge your success or your results? From, you know, poker, it's a graph, it's money. That's how we gauge it. From you, you know, how do you do it?
Well, it's weird because the poker commercial industry, the graph's just gone down, and it will continue to go down. So a large part of it is managing costs. So the days where pre-Black Friday were the days where we used to go to Vegas. I say we, other people, and we had shitloads to spend on everything. We used to have really extravagant photo shoots for everything, and there was a lot of money coming in, and every other page was an advert. And now there's just not. And to be honest, we're kind of at the stage where a lot of with the strength of our brand, a lot of our clients are going to come in, whatever. I don't really have to sell it too hard. But what I think we do well is when kind of, so we've recently gone into a partnership with a site called Unibet, and they came to us. They're all poker players who came to us, and they were, trying to sell us their model, and then we could have worked with them because we understand how, what our demographic of our readers is and what they're looking for, and then we're able to kind of get into that and create our own kind of marketing strategies and work with them to come up with ideas for like bonuses and free rolls and tournaments and everything going forward, because the days of bonus whoring are gone. So it's not just about kind of having sign up bonuses and stuff. You've really got to come up with like cool ideas to get people to try your site out, and then and then the retention side of it as well. So you've got to kind of work on your loyalty stuff.
Yeah, Unibet is the site that had that Isildur cash game, I believe, and they did a live stream of it.
Yeah. I commentated on that. It was good fun. But yeah, Isildur played. He was there for 3 days. Yeah, it was really cool. It's quite strange. There was like British football players as well, and one of their agents was there, and he was saying to me, he's like, oh, apparently he's like, oh, that guy there is apparently a big deal. And I thought he was talking about like someone else who had like a Swedish guy, because there was like other European pros. So I thought he was just talking about another Swede, because he was like, that Swedish guy over there. And I was like, oh, I don't know him, blah blah blah. And apparently he's like, oh, apparently he's like 1 million to millions. And I was like, oh, you mean Victor? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, of course, he's huge. And he's like, apparently he's done this. And I was like, yeah. I was like, no, he's like a demigod, like he's huge. And I was like, how have you never heard of this guy? It's in such a weird context. And then he stared at all the rail built up, and obviously, and everyone just wanted to watch Victor. And this guy who'd never heard of him before, didn't know anything about poker, just couldn't believe what he was seeing. He was just like, how can all these people be so obsessed with this guy who's just not mainstream famous at all? But yeah, it did really cool. Like getting him there was like a massive coup. And they had like a proper, really good set for it. It was kind of like something you'd see on the EPT. And they had the right level of kind of fish to good players and stuff, and streamed it for 3 days. So whoever kind of came up with that idea got it right,
We have to learn. We have to teach you to say fun player instead of fish, by the way, because they're fun players. They're not fish.
Recreational players. No, when you talk about like kind of celebrities, you can call them fish, because that's what they are. They're fish. They're whales. They've got money. But first-time depositors and people that are kind of playing like 25 cents, 50 cents, they're your recreational. They're your fun players. They're the people you don't want to offend.
I don't like to offend. I don't like if anyone out there knows me, they know me. I don't like to offend anybody. I never have anything controversial to say.
That's always kind of annoyed me in itself, because it's not it's not being polite for being polite. You're still being predatory. You're being polite so you don't scare them off, which in itself is kind of worse. Huh?
No, so I was technically trolling you. I love to sometimes say.
Yeah. But like just people generally who kind of adopt that rule, and they're like, oh, we like to, because this is, I don't know, it's just all a bit strange how people really don't mind kind of discussing how to keep fish happy. It just seems really not shady at all, but it just seems a bit weird that they're trying to pretend that they're doing it with the best interests of them in mind rather than themselves.
Well, it probably goes along the same path as how people get staked. You don't always take the most ethical approach to the situation, but it's just it's something you have to think about to keep the fun players coming back and keep them playing and keep them happy. It's just like that's just a kind of a cost of doing business type of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
What Hans said. Hans says GPI in America is the February 27th, which I thought yours is the 28th.
Okay. No, ours is 23rd actually. It's the Monday.
23rd. Okay, and this one's the 27th. And he says the one in Malta is March 25th. And I should be there. God, I want to go to Malta again so bad.
Yeah.
Malta would be fun. Well, last time I went to Malta, Nah, yeah, probably shouldn't
So
say
what,
that.
you've done all these Euro trips and not come to the UK?
I'm scared of the UK. My friend went to the UK, he didn't get in. How am I gonna get in if he didn't get
How did
in?
you not get to the UK?
What'd you say?
Why did you not get into the UK?
I think he was trying to stay there for like a prolonged period of time.
Okay, it's pretty
Whereas,
easy to get.
yeah, I'm gonna meet a British girl. You guys, you know what happens. I'm gonna meet a British girl. I'm gonna fall in love with her. I'm gonna have a British children. I'm gonna be working at Bluff Europe. I'm gonna be sponsored by Unibet. You know how it's gonna turn out. So,
You know, our editor in chief is American.
is he?
Uh, yeah, he's from Connecticut. It's like he used to I think he started like Bluff, and then moved over here, started Bluff Europe, and the rest is history.
Pretty sick.
Yeah. So, and he presents the British Poker Awards, which is a bit ironic, being that he's not American.
I'll probably be coming over to London very soon this year before a World Series of Poker happens.
Okay, yeah. When
I'll,
is that? September,
uh,
October,
when is what, the World Series of Poker?
Europe. You talking? Are you talking? Because you know the World Series of Poker in Europe is in Berlin this year.
Oh, I meant the World Series of Poker in America.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna come over there before June. It sounds like it'd be fun.
Yeah, too.
Sam says okay, so Jason Moe put out some female power rankings. I'm not quite sure I know a couple of these names. Number one is Tatiana Mystery. It's Mystery 30 or I can't remember her name on PokerStars. Barasova. Do you know her, the old PokerStars pro? I don't think she's sponsored anymore. Mystery is 30, I believe was her screen name.
No, I know Tatiana, who's going out with McLean Carr, or was. I
No,
don't know.
this is a different one.
I don't know. No.
Number two, Yaxi Zoo. What the? Is that a name? Might be a racist comment by me. Yaxi Zoo. Who's this? No, definitely not second. Okay. JJ Liu third, Xuan Liu fourth, and Kitty Kua fifth. Yeah, this rankings list definitely probably I can't agree with.
Are they just all Asian girls?
Four of them are Asian girls, and the first one's the Russian.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Jason might have been trolling with his ranking list here. Oh, Tatiana's definitely. She's so sexy though. Wonder if she quit playing. I don't know. So I guess from your standpoint, has there been someone that you've enjoyed working with more than others? Has there been a story you've done that you've really enjoyed?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's kind of typically the higher profile player, the bigger pain in the arse everything is. You know, a lot of the kind of English and British regs, or maybe like the kind of Americans who are kind of just playing mid stakes, they're really accessible and they don't really care. They don't need to sign off for stuff, and you can just do a really quick interview and it's really laid back. And then some, you know, the higher name they are, it's just a bit of a more of a kind of process to fitting it into their schedule. And obviously, when it comes to America, that can mean like just random calls. Like Eve, our old editor, we were out like on the piss. It was maybe like 2 a.m, and Phil Helmuth called her and was like, "I'll be ready in half an hour." So luckily, we were near a friend's office, so she had to go in, and she'd been like drinking for like 6 hours, and she had to go in and then do the interview there and then. And it's kind of like, yeah. But no, I mean, to be like, people have been like awesome. Like my first kind of interview that I did was with Timex, and it was just like, it was so fucking long for a start, which was a bit of a nightmare because you just didn't want it to stop. So then you've got like an hour and a half to transcribe, which is a nightmare. But we had to break it down, but it's just really cool and it's just really kind of generous and kind of open. And then there've been a lot of people who've been like that, and you know, the opportunity to kind of speak to people like Phil Galfond, because when you've kind of grown up as an MVGer as well, it's the opportunity where you can just say to people, "Oh, I'm from Bluff Europe. Have you got time for a call?" And everyone's just like, "Yeah, sweet, yeah." Like the only person who's ever said no is Ollie Shemian, who just constantly says no to me. Every month I'm like, "I'll put you on the cover. It will take you 10 minutes. Do you want to do this?" And he's just like, no, I'm fine, thanks. He's super polite about it. Like, every single time I message him, he knows exactly what I'm going to ask for him, but he still replies to say, hey, how's it going? It's like, you offered me this month? He's like, no. But like, yeah, everyone else is usually like super cool. And like people like, so we've got Jens Killinen on our January cover.
Sweet.
And,
very cool.
It's so pretty as well. I don't know if you can see this. That's like just the sex pony.
Jeans. Jeans is so sexy. Jeans, I know. Shout out to Jeans. I know Jeans not watching this right now. He's busy doing some other things. Shout out to Jeans. He's my hair inspiration.
So we did. I was doing like the interview with him, and someone just randomly walked past, just at the point where he says, "Oh, I guess kind of like one of the best nights was when I won $1 million in a night." And this guy just like stops and is just like, "Who the fuck are you talking to?" You just see him mouth at me like, "What the fuck?" And it's just like really cool stories. Like Gene's going to he's going to space on the Virgin Galactic shuttle. He's like booked into it and like buying in for the one drop and stuff. And he was just like really open and honest about it. And we spoke about Barcelona, and it's just really cool. And the more open people are, the better it is, because like what we do as well is, which is quite unique. You know, as obviously from when I interviewed you, you got to see the piece before it went out, and just make sure that we weren't kind of stitching you up, and that we were kind of getting across what was fair and stuff. And that's the thing, is like, if you do start mouthing off, which people do, because people get overly comfortable, and then they'll just like drop the wrong name, and then realize.
I gotta turn this down on my end. Hold on a second. My bad. I don't know where it's at. All right, continue on. Sorry about that.
Yeah, they'll drop like a name, and they'll say something that they really regret, and then they'll come back and they'll be like, "Can I just like retract that?" And it's fine. Like it's not something like. So we hear a lot of cool stuff, and then we have to take it out, because it's basically a lot of people about. The rumors about who owes who money and who does this and kind of stuff. So, but yeah, so we don't stitch people up and all that kind of sense. So it just helps. It just means that more people are willing to speak to us. And people like really cool in terms of like when we spoke to Mike McDonald like a day after PCA. Mm-hmm. It was like literally he flew straight home, and the first thing he did was call us, because we were like, oh, we're on deadline, so we really need this. And a lot of other people would just be like, no, I'm not really bothered. So, yeah, it's cool.
It's pretty interesting to get that side of things. I'm gonna have Timex on a podcast coming up here.
Yeah, he's good value. I've heard him on a lot of podcasts, and he's always good value. So yeah.
Oh no, you've heard him on a lot. I don't like having podcast horrors on a podcast.
No, but he's had a long career. Like this is over like 5-6 years.
Well, I've known Timex for a while, so it'll be we're Eskimo brothers. We have a lot in common, so it'll be. Do you know what an Eskimo brother is?
I feel like I've heard it before, and now I've completely forgotten what it is. It's something to do with a girl.
It's what?
Is it like having the same like being with the same girl at different times or something?
Yep, that's what an Eskimo brother is.
How are you? Oh, I don't even want to know.
I found this out recently. I was pleasantly surprised. I was talking with somebody I know.
How can it ever be a pleasant surprise?
Well, I don't care. Oh my God, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyone good enough for Timex and good enough for me, that's cool with me.
Yeah,
man.
That's true. They're definitely worse people to kind of get partnered up with.
Exactly. I mean, that's fine. I'm glad it's not Stars Rec Problems and me are Eskimo Bros. And not like that would be. I might. I'd cry.
Oh, poor Stars Rec Problems.
I know, right? It's a very tragic story. We still haven't heard from Stars Rec Problems. Still since his scamming occurred.
Should we do a Bluff Europe investigates?
Wait, can you do that?
We'll track him down. Yeah, I'll speak to lawyers. I've been pretty sure it's fine. I wonder what your thing is on it, like how we approach, like what we should do about scammers, because a lot of my friends growing up on 2+2 are now kind of scammers, and I've had like people even like approach me for money while I've been at Bluff and then get outed as a scammer. and it's just kind of like, I work at Bluff, should I just out everyone? Like, but then there's obviously it's just so more complicated, and it's so different to, it's not the same as I could do it on my 2+2 account, but it's nowhere near like the same kind of responsibility as if I decide to put it on Bluff and this guy owes like 100K and stuff. But crazy.
So you're trying to think when or how should you approach that situation? Should you put them in the magazine about scamming? Should you talk about them scamming?
Yeah, I mean, because it kind of falls into what's our responsibility, really. So, because essentially, if someone like, say, Antonio calls someone a scammer, it becomes big news. But there are people, and we don't even know if that's true or not, but there are people for a fact that we know are scammers. And you spoke to Zima, he'll tell you a million scammers, And I know he's always trying to set up websites to out people and stuff. And it's just kind of like, well, do we have a kind of responsibility where we should start outing these people? I mean, it's not great content because no one cares. Like, it affects such a small amount of people. But some of the numbers are eye-watering, and we get really jaded because we're in 2+2, and we're used to seeing people have like 200K scores that we're used to then seeing people run off with like $250,000. And every year in Vegas, there's someone who goes straight to the pit with their package. Every year without a fail, there's someone that you can't believe it's that guy. But I think all in all, it'd be like pretty negative for not just kind of like poker in general, but kind of for our small little microcosm. Because, and this is another good thing about 2+2, it's kind of self-regulated, and people do slip through the net, but they're doing a good job at the marketplace really, and get people buying shares. And if we were to interfere without a contingency to how to fix it, it'd probably just mess it up for everyone.
It's interesting. I guess it kind of would be. Might kind of be a negative thing. Obviously, as you said, 98% of your readers are not the 2+2 crowd. It might be a bad thing if these people are reading about this guy scammed this guy scammed that guy. That might actually not be the best thing.
Yeah. But that's another kind of responsibility that we've got. It's to promote poker, and it's not like we don't spin stuff on behalf of anyone because there's no reason for us to. But I think a lot of poker mainstream sites just ignore bad news. And it's mainly because it's not great content. Like, if it's that interesting, they'll run it. But there's no real point running a story about a kid stealing 100K where there was maybe like 25 investors and maybe 400 people on 2+2 pissed off. Because then when you're putting out to thousands of people, like, no one's going to care, and it's only really going to harm those affected.
Well, what about something like that was recently going on at NVG, where it was the guy from Denmark who apparently scammed? Did you read that? Where I guess it was like this very long-term scam sort of thing, where he scammed a bunch of money over a long period of time. What about something like that and reporting on something like that?
Yeah, I guess the one I don't know that one off the top of my head. I guess the one that rings a bell is, the guy who was doing the airports all the time.
Oh, I had him on a podcast. Did you see that? So the Charlotte newspaper, they played some of the podcast audio on their news.
Oh, no way.
And they said the Poker Live podcast up at the top, and on the website when they wrote about it, they said they referenced the podcast on there. So it's my first time being used as a source of information on the news broadcast, man.
Big brag. But like, I think in itself that would be like really interesting for us, but horrible for poker, because the idea is, even after he was outed, he went back to the fucking airport and was still doing it. Even after he kind of came and apologized to everyone and said, yeah, look, this is what I'm doing, he still couldn't stop himself going. So if we kind of promote that in any way, of that much of an addictive personality, that you've just been outed with your name, blah, 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 and everyone can now Google you, you're fucked, and you're still going to do it, that's just not good.
A sick thing is, it might actually inspire some other people out there who are struggling for money to do that themselves.
Yeah. He was printing money doing it.
He really was. I mean, we don't want to advocate anything around here on the podcast, guys, but he was doing pretty well at that. I mean, I see why he did it.
Yeah, of course, it was very elaborate. It's kind of, but yeah, it's horrible and it's completely. I think there's a mouse in my office. It's completely. Yeah, it's just really shit, and there is a balance between like education and entertainment, and then negative connotation that come with it, and our responsibility to kind of make it all, one thing.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about. Something I actually haven't thought too much about in terms of do you want to show that side of things to people? Do you want to show that negative side of poker? Do you want to try to show poker on a positive side? Do you want to show the whole poker side? You know what I mean? It's like, obviously there's going to be people out there who say you should show everything. You should show the poker world for what it is, good and bad. But
like essentially, if you look at what other people do, it's always a happy ending. So they will focus on the negative side of gambling or being in being a child actor and then going to drugs. It's always, oh, but I came out of it and now look at me now. Whereas with poker, because it's such a young industry, there aren't any like cool stories, and it's only a matter of time before we see a main event winner who just goes broke within 2 years, and then has and that will get mainstream attention. It'll be like, Martin Jacobson went straight to the pits, which obviously isn't going to happen for him, but like who knows, we'll get some degen and who's just going to spunk all their money. In the same way, like we have the National Lottery over here, and there's always people who are like, it just ruined my life because I just spent all the money and now I'm fucked. But yeah, we haven't seen a kind of phoenix from the flames really. Like you saw a few from like kind of before people of our generation were into poker, so like back in the Sammy Farha days, and then they would come back maybe like 2006, 2007, and they're just like there was one Kiwi guy, I can't remember his name, but he was very much like that, where he'd done really well and then he spunked his money and decided, no, I'm not gonna play anymore, and then came back and then did well again and then spunked his money again, and it's kind of like rinse, recycle, repeat sort of thing. So yeah.
Interesting. I mean, some would debate Jamie Gold may have been under that formula. Someone actually said that in the chat, the Jamie Gold situation, where he kind of, it wasn't necessarily like, who knows how much money he may or may not have lost. We're only allegedly he lost money. We aren't confirming. We don't have receipts. We don't know any proof of that. So,
yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, he's a strange one. But he's one of the few that were very good for poker, because he was the first kind of villain, but it wasn't like he was likable, but people wanted to mimic him. People were like, if I just chat shit all day long on the table, I'm going to do well. And you see people doing it now, and it was really cool because now, and I don't know what you're like, but I'm still of the kind of, like when I play live, I put my earphones in and I don't really care about, if I sit down with someone I know, I'll talk all day, but I'm the kind of kid that people hate in terms of, oh, you guys are ruining the game because you're all taking it so seriously. It's usually because I'm fucking hungover and I've got up at 12 to play this or something like that. And you just don't feel like being sociable, because to people that are just going to bore the arse of you talking about bad beats. But like Jamie Gold was the kind of, there's been no main event champion since him who would just like talk the whole time, because we're seeing a lot of people, like this year's coverage, we're seeing a lot of people who are getting kind of semi-close, and then the skill level isn't there, and it wasn't needed back in Jamie Gold's time, so he was able to do it, and that's why it kind of helped with the kind of boom, because that was the biggest one, and then after that it kind of sustained itself before Black Friday. And it's people like him, and he was great for, obviously, the one good thing he did was like he just degened it off and went to high stakes poker, and then it was quite cool because people were just like, this guy's got real no concept of money, so as much as he is a bit of a mark, I don't want to try and bluff him. So it was a real interesting dynamic, and those were the days where kind of high stakes poker was at its best.
I definitely agree with that. We're actually, I might have Jamie Gold on a podcast over here over the next month as well too. Yeah, we have something. We don't have a certain date scheduled yet, but we decided that we're going to do a podcast together.
Okay, we had him. So we had our 100th issue. I think it was in April, and we spoke to Doyle, Phil Helmuth, and Jamie Gold. it's pretty cool to have them all in the kind of one issue. But yeah, he didn't set the world on fire. I don't think I think he could have kind of milked it as much as Moneymaker has. And the thing about Chris is still to this day, like, there's no backlash, and I think it's just the way he carries himself, and he is a good advocate for poker and stuff, and people do essentially still say, look, you're the reason I'm here. But you would still expect at some level there would be kind of any form of backlash, and there's not. Like, I was at a tournament with him like a couple of months ago, and from other Stars pros to people that had just started playing, everyone was just like, he's the man. So it's really cool to see. And I think Jamie Gold could have really, if he just kept in the public spotlight, he wouldn't have been as popular, but he would have been as kind of relevant, I guess.
It's interesting. Actually, I wonder why Jamie didn't do that, because I agree. I think he actually could have. I really, really enjoyed watching him play a tournament. I mean, I loved him as a poker player. I loved him as a personality, and he did kind of just decide to take a step back and kind of, it seemed like he took a step back and get himself out of the whole entire public spotlight of things in the poker world. I would be.
Yeah, I guess it's the fact that we're having so much less original TV and kind of made for TV poker stuff is really going to hinder the opportunity for kind of people like him to come through again, because even the way people are now is the way people are getting regular coverage is really expensive. They're having to pay into all these 5Ks and then make day 2 of a 5K to get anywhere near a TV screen, which isn't really going to be profitable if you're someone like Jamie Gold. Whereas before it was pure come play at our sit and go, and it's just like a 10K buy-in, and then you get like an hour of TV, or like Poker After Dark, you get like a week of TV. So, until we get something like that again, well, I don't think we're going to see those kind of characters in the spotlight, really.
That's a great point. It's just that there's not many opportunities to necessarily build the new characters or build new celebrities, so that's why you still have guys called the Phil Hellmuths and Dan Negranos and those type of guys. Those guys are still the main guys, just because there's no other avenue to build up these new players. And to some degree, some guys are getting more popular, but yeah, it's certainly not on a big level.
You've got like two or three different avenues. So the way you could look at like the main event is, so I don't know, do you guys get X Factor or Pop Idol or whatever?
We get X Factor American version.
Cool. So X Factor's, I think it's just finished or something in the UK, and they always have the Christmas #1 spot. So essentially, if you win X Factor, you always get Christmas #1, which is the same as if you win the World Series main event, you always get the December cover for all the magazines. And you can get instant fame from that, the same way as going on Big Brother or winning X Factor or doing something which, I don't want to call it cheap, but it's quite lucky. To win the main event, although it is now it seems a lot more tougher than it ever was. Essentially, that was your one ticket, so you banked that, and then you could live off that. And there aren't anywhere near as many kind of avenues that compete against that to actually make a name for yourself. So when you think of the players who have come up recently, even like over the last 2 years, so people like Ollie Shemian, he's just done it because he's had to crush. The same with WCG on Cash, and then when Isildur came up because he was just playing everyone. And there's so few people like that who are doing this, that they're going to get recognition, that the pool is just so smaller, and then you've got to actually translate them to be likable, or be good in front of camera and stuff, and then that weedens out the field even more.
So what do you think a possible remedy? Do you think a remedy is needed to build up? I mean, I personally think I think having people kind of looked up to or followed or watched in an entertaining way, I think that's sort of needed for the potential, I guess, continuing success of poker.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do enough at the minute for retention. So, like say people like Lafort, yeah, he's got loads of fanboys. And
not really. I mean, he should have more in theory. He's the type of guy who should be more popular, I feel like, but he's just not, because there's no avenue to get that popular for him.
Yeah, but like he's got so many people who kind of respect him, who kind of want to be like him and stuff, but he doesn't have the mainstream kind of like, you can't go down to your local casino and say, oh, have you heard of Sean Lafort? People are just not going to know. And he's one of the people who obviously deserve it because he's crushed the game for so long, and he's got a lot of other different things going for him with the kind of, you know, the fitness stuff and all that kind of, it makes him so much more interesting. But that's in itself, things like that are good because, and what you're doing with your show and more niche websites that are popping up, things like F5, which seem to have a bit of a more kind of targeted idea of what they want to do, those will always keep people interested and give you know, a person a reason to keep playing, you know, because there's still that aspirational level, because that's the way poker works. Like, you want to win the main event, but then when you realize that that's not going to happen, you just want to be able to crush 100 an L, and then you want to keep moving up. And as long as you keep seeing people who are doing better than you, that will always give you aspiration to try harder. But that's not going to get people off the street, and the only way you're going to do that is through TV. And that's why we saw such a big boom post Moneymaker, because every night, even in Europe, but I imagine it was well, there was more of it in America, but every night there was 2 or 3 channels that's showing some form of poker, and that's just not here anymore.
Yeah, I remember before, all the overnight ESPN showings were all poker, WSOP replays on Poker After Dark, and then yeah, it was so much poker on TV all the time on ESPN, and it's just
because and they had the perfect model. So we used to have like late night poker, and you would have and the thing about poker is you don't have to be good, you just have to be kind of recognizable, that you'd see people twice and you'd be like, oh, you know, apparently they've got $1 million in tournament winnings, so they must be, you know, in profit. But you'd see these people and then you kind of get to know them, and there would always be one qualifier. And then they'd be like, oh, I can't believe I'm playing with Vicky Cora, and I can't believe, you know. And that immediately just gets people like, it's like, oh, look, if you want to be on late night poker, win the satellite. And you're like, this guy's terrible. Even if you don't know how to play, you're like, this guy's obviously terrible, and somehow he's satellited in, so I should be able to too. And then that just gets people playing, and that's the easiest way to get people through the door. Those kind of things is putting people in a, you know, a chance of being there. Because like high stakes poker is good, but the only way you're going to try and mimic that is by getting your mates around and having a cash game with your mates. But with tournaments and sit and goes, having satellites is a massive kind of way of getting them to get to where they want to be quickly.
You're making me think a lot. You're making me think about ideas and stuff like that that I could personally do, or the poker industry in general could do to.
This is all copyrighted, you see. So if I see any of these ideas floating, then I'll need my cut.
That's fine. I'm not sure how I'm making money off the ideas. That's something I'm always thinking about. Or people always ask, you know, how are you going to try to make money off things? And in the poker industry, there really isn't much. There's not much money to be made in all this stuff. There, you don't like this isn't. If you want to make money, you learn to play poker better. You don't get involved in this. I can tell you that right now.
So my editor-in-chief, he's been in the gambling industry for about 15 years. He runs these huge gambling conferences in the US and across Europe. And anyone who comes to him with a poker concept, he kind of brings me in, and we'll sit down and they'll talk to me for maybe half an hour, and I'll be like, this is like really cool. This is a really cool idea. I really like it. And then they'll just go to Michael. Michael will just say, how are you going to monetize this? And their just house of cards just crumbles. They're like, oh, we were going to do this, and it's just like, that's not going to work because of this blah blah blah. And there's so many reasons now with like kind of regulation. So the markets are all closing, so you can't do stuff in France, you can't do stuff in Germany. You know, you need separate licenses to do everything. It's just you need so much initial capital to do anything. We're just not really going to see any kind of tangible innovation. You know, everything that's coming that's an idea is all based on social media, and that's really the only kind of viable thing you can do. But in terms of actual kind of getting there and doing something, it's just so tough at the minute for everyone, and we're all kind of suffering from it.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why me personally, whenever I think about maybe focusing more on these type of things, I always remember that poker is where you're going to make all your money. You're not making money doing these type of things. So, and that's kind of why whenever I look around at what's out there, like what's out there from an entertaining standpoint, what's out there for like people to enjoy, there's not much, just because the smart people that can do all these things, they can't make money from it, so they're up doing this. They're not spending their time on this. They're doing that.
The hardest thing about my role and a lot of the people who do what we do, we're in an industry that we love and we just want to make good content, and that's primarily why we were hired, because we're experts at poker. We're experts at the industry in poker, but we've also got commercial responsibilities, which is the only reason that we're able to run, the only reason to do this. The idea of a magazine essentially is to make money. So the problem is, you can come to me and say, oh, I've got this amazing idea. I'm going to do X and X, Y. I'm going to charge these people to do this, and they're going to come on my site, and it's going to be great. And I'll say, oh, that's amazing. I want to feature you in Bluff. And then essentially, what we're doing is giving you, all this kind of free advertising where you're getting eventually money from. So then I have to say, actually, you need to be paying us. And then what you have to do is work out the ROI of advertising and if it's cost beneficial to you to have it. And it just stops the whole process. And what we're seeing is there's so many partners that can work together, but can't, because the idea is that essentially everyone needs to profit, everyone needs to get paid. And the more, when you bring poker media into that, you're just bringing in, in some cases, just a middleman. Obviously, we do a really cool job that is, beneficial to everyone, getting people's brand out there. But it's the young startups who have great ideas but not the capital to advertise, who go on their own, that you really kind of regret that you can't work with. But essentially, it's because someone needs to make money, and if there's only so much money going around, it can only come to a certain extent.
I guess you need people out there that might not necessarily be in it to make a bunch of money, that are just in there to help grow poker and help grow ideas and help grow brands and businesses and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's the. I think most of us are like that at heart anyway, and I think you do see a lot of kind of partnerships coming forward and good ideas, but essentially it comes down to having to go cap in hand to someone. Someone has to pay for everything, and that's the problem, really.
Well, now some people out there might understand why I have certain people on my podcast, is because I enjoy helping get these people out there. I don't necessarily need someone to pay me money, although there might be one person that's paying me money that I would have to pay me money again to talk about their stuff. But for the most part, whenever I talk about things and I talk about people, I usually do it with a specific reason in mind, and it's because I like helping get people out there and help them grow their brand and help make some money for themselves, and that they don't necessarily need to pay me money.
Yeah. I don't know, but I'm the same. So we did the feature, which people can find on you, which is still online. Oh. And when I approached you about that, it was because you were doing this, but it wasn't to, hey, I want to help you promote this. It's just that because you're doing something, and I want people to go to it, because I used to always bug you to get it on iTunes, because I literally used to always clean. When I was cleaning my apartment, I was always doing it while listening to the podcast on iTunes, and for some reason it would always fuck up if I did it on YouTube or SoundCloud or whatever. So, but it was a really good thing, and I really liked it, and I wanted more people to listen to it. And then the more people you're introducing to it, the higher education of people in poker, and it just helps. It's kind of synergy. It's like the same way as kind of recommending cereal to someone, It's anything that you like. Because I like poker, I'm instinctively trying to spread good stuff about poker. If I'm not lying. If, on the other hand, if someone turned up with an idea, because you get people who come up with awful ideas for poker tournaments, and if someone turns up at the door and says, oh, we've got this budget to spend, and we want to have this poker tournament where it's girls and boys and it's tag team, and the girls have to wear their underwear and the boys have to wear a tuxedo or something. I'm like, this is fucking awful. But if they say, oh, we've got X amount to spend every month, I'm just like, all right, cool, we'll help you. So there is the two things. It's if people do have money, as long as it's good for the game, essentially, it doesn't really matter if it's a great concept or not. But
love that idea.
That that would be our dream, that you get these jokers coming in looking to spend money. The problem is you've got people who have amazing products who are like, oh, we don't have any market budget, and you're like, cool, well, we can help you to a certain extent, but
I would play that tournament if they had it, by the way. Just letting
yeah,
whoever's
I
out
had
there,
you.
I'm in.
No, but like, yeah, it's I don't know where I'm going. I'm just going on a tangent with this, but yeah, it's a real kind of divide, and it's how much you want to help people. But like, you don't have any real commercial side of this for now that I would ever question. So I don't care. You can have all the free love you want. But there are other people who are they're spending money, and if they're spending money elsewhere, they should be spending it with us as well, and that's something you need to consider. But like, what I thought was cool is, I remember I messaged you a few months ago, and I said that I'd interviewed someone who kind of had something coming out, and instantly, no, first I told you the name, and you said, oh, awesome, and I said, oh yeah, because basically they're just getting a book out, and you're like, no, fuck that, I'm not having people whoring stuff, which I thought was quite cool, because like, the way we look at it is,
I remember that.
If you've got something coming out, it just means it's exciting to me, because it means you're more likely to want to talk to us. And I don't really think about the idea of, oh, they're whoring out what they're whoring out either their book or whatever they're doing. So it just means that they're doing something which is relevant, and because people aren't coming up with concepts that are scamming the community or zero value these days. It's not like you're getting random people's, oh, the greatest book of poker tales, and then they're coming up going, can you plug my book? That's not happening. It's people who are actually providing something which is really good.
So do you think that in that scenario I should have wanted to have somebody like that on because they might have been more open and wanting to give up a better impression to people that might be listening?
Yeah, I don't know. I think people with stuff to plug who you wouldn't necessarily see in a public setting are typically, there are one or two things: they're bad at it, or they're like brief to their head, and they're just prepared for every question, and they're the absolute opposite of being kind of laid back and open and stuff. Mm. And so they're probably the worst. It's really just kind of like, the way you've been doing it, especially with Doug, and it's just the laid back chats and throwing in a bit of shit talking about people, and like, just the idea is like, it goes back to old school radio. They used to just say, pretend it's just you two in a room, and that's the easiest way to do it. It's really not about, like, if you do a setting when you're like, oh, so Dan, tell us about your product, I feel like a dick talking about it. Do you know what I mean? It just feels a bit weird. So the idea of people coming on, plugging what they're doing it's really bad content. I think it's good if you just say to someone at the end, oh, so you're doing this. Tell us a bit about it. It's fine. But the way people come in gung-ho, and they're just like, oh, I've got a DVD, and then they just run off in it. No one cares.
Well, I guess it's sort of on the interviewer, the person that's the host of that conversation, to sort of structure the conversation to end up like sort of naturally navigating to that point where you end up talking about their product and putting it out there. Where I'm sure I could see some. I listen to some podcasts where someone might have a book on there, and on the one hand, it's actually still good to listen to what the person's saying about the book, but it's like, all right, you've got this new book coming on. You're coming on here to talk about this book, and then it's like basically like a 45-minute podcast where they're just kind of selling information from the book in order to get you to buy the book at some point.
Yeah. But like, I mean, like when you're doing something which is a bit more bland, like say a poker instructional book, people know what to expect, and you can't really say, oh, well, I'm just going to read you a chapter of it, because that'll bore the arse of people. Where it does work is where you have, say, for example, like Warzone correspondents, and they've been all around the world. It's good for them to say, oh, in the book you feature your time in Sierra Leone, and then they tell you a story from that, because then you're like, actually, this girl's pretty cool, there's a good scenario, blah, blah, blah. It's just when people already know everything about you, because you get like celebrities who have like their 5th autobiography. It's like, we know everything about you already. Like, if we want to see more, we'll read it, but like, you don't need to tell us about it now. It's much better. Like, I think interviews, and they don't work in magazine form because a lot of people typically read. If I publish something online, it will get read for like 4 years. People don't read it like within the time frame, so you can't have casual chat about what you did last night. But people that are on live radio or TV and stuff, they just say, what have you been up to? You'll always find the best interviews are the ones that have like instant anecdotes, you know, from, oh, you were at this party last night, and it's like, yeah, this happened. Then when you get people who are really more laid back and they're a lot more open, whereas people who do structured interviews that they know are going to have longevity are far more on point about the message they want to get across. And they're the people that will come back and say, actually, can you take this out and take this out and blah, 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 blah. So, like, for example, when we spoke to Phil Galfond about Run It Once, he was really key to say, look, we said to him, we want to talk to you about like going from high stakes to CEO. And he was like, yeah, awesome. I'm happy to talk as much about that, but I don't want this to be a massive plug. It's like, this isn't about kind of like why people should like come to Run It Once. They can see that for themselves. Let's talk about like kind of the day-to-day life, the day-to-day anecdotal life of Run It Once, and the fact that they've got, you know, what goes into, like pulling back the curtain, you know, of what goes into kind of the training side. And that's far more kind of interesting than, you know, him saying, oh, you should come to my site because I'll teach you to do this and stuff. People know that already, you know. They can go to the web.
Is that piece online?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find that. Is it, what's it called? Running the Streets?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to read this. Definitely sounds like something I'd be interested in checking out.
So when you get people who are kind of, it's just, you know it from yourself. It's just, if you get people who are comfortable talking, like, you know Neil Channing, right? I don't know if lots of Americans know him.
I know of him. There's a guy who plays a lot of PLO online who has his N Channing, but he's so I don't know who actually is. But yeah,
So he has the crossover. He's been on like the 2x2 PokerCast like every year, and he's just got loads of stories. And you can just ask him how's it going, and just walk out the room, and he'll be talking 40 minutes later. And it's people like him are great because he's just chatting for the sake of doing it. Yeah, but it's really interesting at the same time because he's just got the right. He'll tell you stories about playing live cash, and like, say if you're young, he'll say, "Oh, you remind me of a guy who kind of looked like he sat down with his case 1000, was sitting there shaking." And he'll tell like a story about it, and he can just correlate everything back to a story. And it's just like you just see people lean back in their chairs and get ready for it and like enjoy it. It's really good. And then other people who are like, I was just like, yeah, so what was it like when you moved up to this level? And they're like, yeah, it was quite tough, but I felt that I was better than everyone, so it's all right. It just kind of doesn't have the same thing, you know?
For sure. Well, especially in a written form as well, that's going to come across.
Yeah, exactly.
There's only one way for that to read for the most part, so it's.
And then, so when we interviewed, I interviewed Jens. Originally, I said to him I wanted to do it as an editorial because the more kind of broad the interest people would have, it's probably better to have it in an editorial form because sometimes people aren't very good at answering the questions the most interesting they can be. So it's better to kind of elaborate more using your knowledge of it and then use quotes from them. But Jens was just really cool about everything, and he's just really honest and really concise. So straight away it was just like, this is just a Q&A. And I literally probably cut less than 50 words out of the whole interview, because everything he said was like valuable and was like really interesting and stuff. So and it all segued nicely across as well, so it all made sense to go as one interview. And they're rare, and sometimes you just sit there and you're like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? And then you end up doing it. So yeah, it's quite weird.
You know, I have a theory that anyone that beats high stakes online cash over a significant sample size is a very interesting person, and Jens is definitely one of those people. Like everyone that I've talked to that is a bigger winner at high stakes PLO has been incredibly interesting. They're some of the most interesting people I've ever talked to, except maybe one person. I don't want to say who it is, but That's me sending a shot. But that's what I found, that those guys are extremely easy to talk to about anything for the most part.
What I found, so, and I need to apologise, I don't know if Lafort watches all your stuff, but I interviewed him in October, and I still haven't, like, he was meant to be going in this issue, and then we had, last minute, I had to give up the pages, and so I'm then putting him into the February issue. So, poor guy, but like, it will be sick. But so because he was in London, we actually met up and we had a coffee, and it was maybe 2 hours. I think I've recorded that 2 hours, and we're probably talking about poker for about 40 minutes, because it's one of those where they've got they just think well about everything, so you can talk to them about anything. So obviously I was talking to him about like the whole fitness thing and going on the tangents, and then we were just, any kind of discussion you have, whether it's about what he's been doing in London, it just leads to a good conversation. Just like interesting guys and stuff. And it's really cool because I'm listening back to it while I'm doing the transcription and stuff. And it's just like none of this shit is relevant. Like, but it's all really awesome at the same time. So yeah, I think that the guys that I know who are doing, who do really well, the guys who I spoke to, they are more kind of not necessarily fun, because you get a lot of fun people everywhere, but I guess it's just kind of the way they think, and they're a lot more whatever.
I'm very interested to read the piece on Jens. I call him Jeans, but I guess everyone else calls him Jens or Jeans or something like that.
Yeah, Jens Kliven.
Jens Kliven. Jens is on the cover with his well manicured hair and his.
He gave us. It's a really sick photo shoot. So it's quite cool. I said to my designer straight away, I was like, I want this to be like GQ. Like, this needs to look really good. And I think they did a good job. So I showed it to Jens yesterday, and he liked it. So it'll be good. But you'll be able to see it. I guess it'll be on the iPad. You can get it from like New Year's Day, but it'll probably be online like the 15th maybe. It's typically when I put out my cover interviews.
What is this? Is this thing you also sent me earlier coming out on the 15th? The 133-second thing?
I can put that out whenever you want, to be fair. So that's a bit fluff. That can go out New Year's Day if you want. But so that will be what we have is it's always our back. It's our last page, and you remember? I don't know. Did I get in touch with Ebony through you, or I don't know if I just found her myself?
I'm not sure. I know she mentioned it to me, so I can't remember how it happened.
So she was on it a couple of times, and we had a guy in mind to do it this month, but he's in Vegas playing, so I just thought you could save me last minute. And of course, you're a really good thing. What I was actually going to do, which is quite, we're doing the cover again, and I had to take Lafort. So Lafort's name was on the design for the cover because he's meant to be going in, and because I've had to take him out. I was going to put you back on, but you're already on our cover. Your name's already on our cover from September. So, you've seen, you got your little name there.
Wait, set that up? You never sent that to me, dude. Hold on, let me put it up on an actual thing. So you never sent me this cover. Liv Borie's on the cover too. How can you not send me the cover?
All the good-looking people. Yeah, I'll send it to you. No, I did send it to you.
I don't think.
I'm trying to think if you get a shout out. In the editor's letter. No, I don't think so. Yeah, so have you not seen it? So you've got this. So in publishing, what I've done here is really bad. So you should never have the advert on this page. You should have it on that page. But because I wanted to get that first Eat Sleep PLO thing as part of the thing, I put it on that side. And then also, you're a fucking nightmare because, sorry, I should stop swearing, just because of the quality of the photos. Like, the photos are good, but the actual quality of them, like the resolution. So instead of like doing what we typically like to do, which is have like massive photos, we had to just put loads of small ones. And there's your ones. I sent you the PDF of that anyway. You've got a PDF of it, right?
I have a PDF, but I need the fucking printout, man. I have my other magazine article is framed in the background. It's when I set my first draw. When I played 50,000 hands in a day, I set that record. That article's up there. I need this magazine, man. I got to put it up.
Yeah, wait till I'll send it with next issue with the so you can have both. And I'll get it sent across to you.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, I might have to change some of these answers to make them a little more exciting.
Yeah.
You made it sound like you literally needed it that second, and I was like, all right, let me type some things up real quick.
So today, like, I'm done for Christmas today. Like everyone, like it's 25 to 9, and I let everyone go at like 4 p.m. and everyone's gone off to get drunk for. It's the last day before Christmas, so everyone's getting pissed now. And I'm chatting to you, but so we had to get the magazine finished. But so we sent it to printers, but I can get that check. Like if you just mess around with it, I can just get the designer to change one page, not a problem. But I wasn't sure how quickly he'd be able to do it, the kind of the design. But yeah, he did it in like 45 minutes. He's just such a G, the guy.
Yeah, this guy did.
We redesigned every page of our magazine. It looks so much better. So it's really cool. It's really exciting.
Cool. I'm anxious to check it out. Well, I guess we can wrap this up. We've been going for about an hour and a half now, so we can let you get moving. If you're gonna go out, do a little English raging. You can go ahead and get a little English rage on. You get your English rage on. I guess that's the proper way to say that. Give a shout out to Metalhead. Metalhead joined us a bit late. Matt. Sirku says, when will Timex be on Timex? I'm not sure the exact date. Stay tuned. Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, so guys, thanks for tuning in live. Dan, thanks for coming in. If you have any questions for Dan, you can. But Slevin, how do you say your screen name? Slevin Yohala?
Slevin up Yohala.
Slevin up Yohala. I like the name. Or on the Bluff Europe account, I guess you can get in touch with them as well. And that's it, man. You got anything else to say, Dan?
No, that's it. Buy my magazine, please. We need it. No, we'll just get drunk in London. Come over. Come to your walk.
Please don't. I'll probably die, I feel like, but I'm excited to do it.
I'll let you present an award if you come. I'll let you present an award to Liv Marie if she wins.
Wait, hold on a second. Wait a second. You'll let me present an award at the British Poker Awards if I come over there.
If you come over there, you can present an award.
Okay, let me think about it now. Okay.
All right. Okay. I can't see the nominations. Is Liv nominated for anything?
Liv is nominated for I think a couple things.
So voting ends on New Year's Eve. So if everyone listening it goes on and votes for Liv, then she's got a good chance of winning. And then you can present the award to her.
Best social media user. Yeah, she's nominated for that one. Well, okay then. I'll let you know about that, and thank you for the offer.
No worries.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
All right. See you later.
Peace out, guys. Adios. Thanks for tuning in.